Welcome back, viewers. You're watching Beyond World is One. I'm Shivan Channa. This is Speed News. Let's start. Donald Trump, speaking to military personnel in Virginia, highlighted his role as a peacemaker but admitted that the wars in Gaza and Ukraine remain unresolved. He urged Russia's Vladimir Putin and Ukraine's Zelensky to meet and end the conflict, while also signaling upcoming Pentagon reforms to speed up weapons acquisitions and foreign arms sales under Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth addressed senior military leaders at Marine Corps Base Quantico, sharply criticizing what he called the reckless leadership that led the military astray. He slammed diversity initiatives and woke culture, blaming them for decades of decline. Hegseth called for a return to strict discipline, demanding daily physical training, grooming standards, and enforcing the warrior ethos. He urged commanders who do not support this new direction to resign, emphasizing a renewed focus on strength and capability. US President Trump has signed an executive order to promote the use of artificial intelligence in childhood cancer research. Children joined Trump in the Oval Office for the announcement. Alongside the order, the US Health Department revealed a doubling of funding for its Childhood Cancer Data Initiative, adding $50 million to accelerate research and improve diagnostics, treatments, and potential cures using AI technology. And this effort builds on a decade-long initiative launched in 2019 to enhance data collection and sharing on pediatric cancers. A powerful 6.9 magnitude earthquake struck the northern tip of Cebu Island in the central Philippines, collapsing buildings and killing at least 60 people. The United States Geological Survey reported the quake's depth at 10 kilometers. Rescue efforts continued overnight amid 379 aftershocks reported by the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology. Provincial officials warned that people might still be trapped under debris. Quakes are frequent in the Philippines, which lies on the Pacific Ring of Fire, known for intense seismic activity. In a brazen attack, Russian drones struck the Ukrainian city of Dnipro, killing one person and injuring more than 15 others. Emergency teams continue battling fires and tending to the wounded as the city reels from the violence. In a related development, according to a regional governor, two brothers aged 4 and 6 along with their parents were killed in an overnight Russian drone attack on a village in the northern Sumy region. Rescue workers have recovered the bodies from the rubble. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has announced Major General David Zini as the new chief of Shin Bet, Israel's domestic intelligence service. Zini, a former senior army officer, will begin his 5-year term on October 5th, succeeding Ronen Bar, who resigned in the month of June after his clashes with Netanyahu. While Netanyahu praised Zini as the right choice and an outsider to the agency, the appointment has triggered controversy and the order is facing legal petitions and a lot of criticism from opposition groups and security establishment members. The Shin Bet, which is a key counter-terrorism force in Israel, remains at the center of ongoing political conflicts. UK's Prime Minister Keir Starmer has made a direct appeal to working-class voters, urging Labour's traditional base to reject the divisiveness spread by the populist Reform UK party and support his vision of a united Britain for everyone. In a passionate defence of his leadership since his landslide victory last July, Starmer criticised veteran Brexit campaigner Nigel Farage and his Reform party, accusing them of seeking only to create division. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung hosted Japan's outgoing Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba in Busan, highlighting a goodwill effort to strengthen ties. The meeting underscored the two nations' commitment to improving once strained relations. Both leaders pledged to deepen cooperation on trade as global turmoil continues. They also reaffirmed their shared goal of denuclearization on the Korean Peninsula. Lee has pursued engagement with Japan on security and trade, extending his predecessor's cautious rapprochement. Ishiba expressed hope the two countries would remain each other's closest partners. Chef de Cabinet of the Executive Office of the UN Secretary General, Kutne Rattray, has emphasized that the Rohingyas and all people of Myanmar deserve justice, dignity and a safe return to their homeland. Speaking at the high-level conference on the Rohingya crisis, Rattray stressed there can be no lasting peace without a genuine ceasefire, de-escalation and dialogue among all parties. He called for immediate action to uphold international humanitarian and human rights law with guaranteed unhindered humanitarian access inside Myanmar. Former Congo President Joseph Kabila, that's the Democratic Republic of Congo, he has been sentenced to death in absentia by a military court, found guilty of war crimes, treason and crimes against humanity over alleged support for Rwanda-backed M23 rebels. Kabila, who ruled from 2001 to 2019 for 18 long years, he has denied wrongdoing, calling the case political. He owes $50 billion in damages. He was absent from the trial and his location remains unclear. Peruvian Interior Ministry images show authorities detaining the suspected mastermind behind the live-streamed murders of 3 young women in Argentina, raising total arrests to 9. The suspect, known as Little J, was escorted into the Peruvian police anti-drug headquarters in Lima, followed by Mateus Osorio, believed to be his right-hand man. Thousands of young protesters took to the streets of Madagascar's capital, demanding President Andry Rajoelina to step down. The demonstrations, led by Gen Z, erupted over ongoing electricity and water shortages. In response, Rajoelina dismissed the Prime Minister and dissolved the government, but refused to resign himself. Security forces confronted crowds with tear gas and rubber bullets amid reports of violence and looting. The United Nations reported 22 deaths linked to clashes and blamed the heavy-handed response by authorities. Hundreds of indigenous people in Colombia carrying spears, blowguns and banners pleading "Do not kill us" protest against the ongoing violence after being displaced by brutal guerrilla clashes on the Venezuelan border. The Bari people insist the president listen to them, vowing to stay until he and his cabinet respond. They point out that for 5 decades the government has denied them land and ignored its obligations, so they have come together to demand territory and concrete guarantees. Prime Minister Modi participates in the centenary celebrations of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh (RSS) as the chief guest at Dr. Ambedkar International Centre, New Delhi. On this occasion, he will release a specially designed commemorative coin and postage stamp dedicated to the RSS contributions to the nation. In India, 9 workers died when part of a space frame under construction at the Ennore thermal power station near Chennai collapsed. 3 grid bays of the frame being erected for the roof of a coal handling shed. It fell with the workers involved, killing them on the spot. The deceased were migrant workers from Assam. Prime Minister Modi has announced ex gratia compensations of approximately $2,252, while Tamil Nadu Chief Minister declared $11,258 compensation. Heavy rain turned streets on the Spanish holiday island of Ibiza into muddy rivers, causing widespread flooding. Authorities issued a red alert for rain on Ibiza and nearby Formentera, with up to 180 millimeters of rainfall expected within 12 hours. Dramatic footage shows vehicles almost submerged and residents wading through deep water on main roads. Firefighters were dispatched to assist people trapped in vehicles and homes. Weather alerts are also active for Mallorca and the Spanish mainland in Valencia, which tragically suffered over 230 flood deaths last year. Spotify founder and CEO Daniel will step down in January to become executive chairman. The company announced a new co-CEO structure to counter rivals and boost profit margins. Daniel, who built Spotify into a global tech leader, will focus on capital allocation and long-term strategy. The new co-CEOs, that is, will be Gustav Soderstrom, who leads tech and product, Alex Nordstrom, who heads business and content. Spotify remains the clear market leader with nearly 700 million monthly users, more than 100 million tracks. Researchers at the University of New Mexico and Los Alamos National Laboratory have developed a computational framework that solves a long-standing challenge in statistical physics. The new AI system called Tensors for High Dimensional Object Representation, or THOR, uses tensor network algorithms to compress and evaluate massive configuration, integrals and differential equations. The U.S. Federal Trade Commission has filed a lawsuit against Sendit, an anonymous messaging app, accusing it of unlawfully collecting personal information from users under the age of 13 and sending deceptive messages to trick users into subscribing to premium features. The complaint alleges Sendit sent provocative messages appearing to be from social media contacts, then charged users for subscriptions, falsely promising to reveal the senders' identities. The FTC says that these practices violate federal children's privacy laws and are deceptive business practices. A U.S. federal judge has rejected attempts by Apple, Google and Meta to dismiss lawsuits accusing them of promoting illegal online gambling. The tech giants have been accused of hosting casino-style apps that addict users while taking 30% commissions, which is estimated to be more than $2 billion. Plaintiffs say the apps triggered depression, suicidal thoughts and other serious harm. According to Axios, Disney has sent a cease and desist letter to Character AI demanding the startup stop using its copyrighted characters without authorization. Disney said that its concern goes beyond financial damages, warning the practice could harm its brand. The move follows a watchdog investigation that found chatbots on the platform engaged in disturbing behavior, including grooming, sexual exploitation, emotional manipulation, and addiction. The AI startup, however, did mention that it has removed the flagged content. The deadline to avert a US government shutdown has passed, dimming lights on federal agencies and stalling key services, while Social Security and Medicare remain untouched for now. Student loan borrowers face delays and federal employees risk missing paychecks. Travel could slow with passports, services and airport security under strain. Economists warn the biggest risk lies in delayed economic data, which could complicate Fed rate decisions and fuel fresh market volatility. Oil prices held near recent levels as investors juggled the prospect of an OPEC Plus output boost again against a sharp decline in US crude inventories. Brent rose to about $66 a barrel, while US WTI climbed to near $62.5. US crude stocks fell by 3.67 million barrels last week, providing a bullish backdrop. At the same time, OPEC Plus is considering raising production by up to 500,000 barrels per day for November. Although the group has denied these reports, analysts caution that market volatility is likely to persist as supply risks, demand uncertainties and geopolitics clash. Singapore's private home prices rose at a faster pace last quarter, boosted by a surge in sales of new apartments. The Urban Redevelopment Authority reported a 1.2% quarterly increase in its price index, up from 1% in the second quarter. Market observers say the renewed buyer demand, coupled with tight supply, is propping up prices across the city. Urban planning officials and developers will be watching for signs of overheating as policies to moderate housing costs looms. South Korea's exports contracted in September despite more working days as new US tariffs and they pressure key sectors. Overall shipments fell year on year, with exports to the US slumping dramatically after a 15% tariff hike. Kylian Mbappe scored a hat-trick as Real Madrid cruised to a 5-0 victory over Champions League debutants Kerat Almaty. The French forward opened the scoring in the 25th minute from the penalty shot. He then doubled their lead from a quick counter early in the second half. Mbappe completed his hat-trick in the 73rd minute, and substitutes Eduardo and Brahim Diaz both scored to complete the rout in the closing stages. Milan City Council has approved the sale of the San Siro Stadium and surrounding land to Inter Milan and AC Milan for $230 million. This means that the iconic stadium can now be demolished, but it still needs to be officially confirmed by the city government. Taylor Swift reunited with producer Max Martin for her new album, The Life of a Showgirl. This marks their first collaboration since her 2017 album, Reputation. The album, which is set for release on the 3rd of October this week, was created while she was on her Eras tour and is described as a vibrant and lively project, a departure from the more somber tone of her previous album, The Tortured Poets Department. The album, which also features a guest appearance by Sabrina Carpenter, contains 12 tracks and has a glamorous showgirl-inspired aesthetic. Paul McCartney kicked off his 2025 Got Back tour with a career-spanning set in California. The setlist for his tour draws from his extensive career, including songs from the Beatles, his time with Wings, and his solo work. Some of the songs included are Can't Buy Me Love, Band on the Run, Maybe I'm Amazed, and Live and Let Die. The setlist highlights his rich musical history, showcasing hits from multiple eras of his career. All right, and Gary Oldman has received a knighthood, one of the highest honors in the United Kingdom, for his significant contributions to the field of drama. A knighthood is conferred by the reigning monarch and entitles the recipient to use the title Sir. Gary Oldman has famously featured in blockbuster franchises such as The Dark Knight and Harry Potter. In 2018, he won his first Oscar award for his performance in Darkest Hour. Actor Claire Foy was honored with the Golden Eye Award in the 21st Zurich Film Festival. The British star brought her latest movie, H is for Hawk, to the festival, in which she plays Helen. The Golden Globe and two-time Emmy winner she was delighted to pick up the Golden Eye Award.